Here you go. Here you go. Hey. Gray hoodie with glasses in a pocket.
And gloves.
And a mask.
And a mask. We got it done.
Get your picture.
He had a daughter he adored. He ran a construction business. His neighbors described him as quiet, polite, the kind of guy who showed up to help when you needed something fixed. And for over a decade, he traveled the length of this country, flying in, renting cars, driving through the night, and he killed people. He didn't have a type. He didn't have a signature. He buried murder weapons in the ground months, sometimes years, before he ever used them. He robbed banks to fund his crimes. He chose victims at random, so there could be no pattern, no connection, no trail. His name was Israel Keyes, and when the FBI finally sat down with him in an interrogation room, what they heard was unlike anything they had encountered before. This is the story of the most methodical serial killer in modern American history, a man who studied murder the way other men study chess, a man who confessed but refused to tell them everything, and a case that, to this day, remains open, because Israel Keyes took his secrets to the grave. January 7th, 1978. Cove, Utah. Israel Keyes is born, the second of 10 children, into a deeply religious family. His parents were members of a fundamentalist offshoot of the Mormon Church. They didn't believe in public schools. They didn't believe in government interference. They didn't believe in modern medicine. When Israel was 5, the family relocated to the woods of Colville, Washington. No electricity, no running heat. The children slept in a tent at times, earning what little money they could through under-the-table work, cutting firewood, working on farms. 10 children raised in isolation, homeschooled, cut off from the world. Neighbors later recalled that the Keyes kids seemed off. Not dangerous, just different. Like they had been raised on a different set of rules than everyone else. As a teenager, Israel became involved with a Christian identity movement, a white supremacist religious group operating out of the Pacific Northwest. He was radicalized, briefly, into their world. But he didn't stay. In 1998, at 20 years old, he joined the United States Army. He served 3 years. He was a specialist in the 25th Infantry Division based in Hawaii. By all accounts, he was a capable soldier, disciplined, focused, a good follow-through on orders. He was discharged in 2001. He settled into life as a contractor, running a construction business, building a quiet, ordinary-looking life in Anchorage, Alaska. He had a partner, a daughter he adored, and by his own admission, the killing had already begun. What made Israel Keyes so terrifying wasn't just what he did, it was how he did it. He studied other killers. He read about them. He read FBI profiler John Douglas's Mindhunter, not as a true crime fan, but as a tactical manual. He watched how killers got caught, the patterns investigators identified, the mistakes made, the connections drawn. He absorbed those lessons and built a system designed to avoid all of them. Rule 1. Never kill where you live. Keyes was based in Anchorage, Alaska. He had a construction business there, a daughter, a partner, a normal-looking life. Alaska was sanctuary. He never hunted there, not until the very end, which we'll get to. Rule 2. put distance between yourself and the crime. He would fly to a city, sometimes across the country, rent a car under his real name because he knew a fake ID could be its own trail, and drive. He'd sometimes cover thousands of miles in a trip, moving state to state, blending into the background of gas stations and budget motels. Rule 3. Cache your weapons. This is the detail that makes even seasoned investigators stop cold. Keyes would travel to a location, months, sometimes years, before he planned to use it, and bury a kit, a murder kit, weapons, zip ties, cash, items he might need. Then he would go home. Then he would return when the time was right. Think about what that means. That means he was standing in a field in rural Vermont, digging a hole in the cold, planning a murder he wouldn't commit for another year. The patience, the premeditation, the commitment to the plan. Rule 4. No type, no pattern. Most serial killers have a victim profile, an age range, a gender, a physical type, a demographic. That profile becomes the investigator's entry point. Keyes refused to give them one. He selected victims of opportunity. Male, female, old, young. What they had in common was nothing more than being in the wrong place when Israel Keyes was in the area. Rule 5. Complete the crime, then disappear. He didn't linger. He didn't revisit. He moved on. The FBI would later estimate that between 2001 and 2012, Keyes made approximately 35 documented trips across the United States, some reaching Canada and Mexico. On that timeline, investigators believe there are victims everywhere he went. Most of them still don't have names. In June of 2011, Israel Keyes flew from Anchorage to Chicago. He rented a car. He drove east. On the night of June 8th, he arrived in Essex, Vermont, a small community outside of Burlington. He drove to the home of Bill and Lorraine Currier, a married couple in their 50s. He had never met them. He had no connection to them. He had been to Vermont before. He knew the area. He broke in while they slept. What happened in that house that night? Keyes described in FBI interviews in clinical, almost detached language. He was methodical. He was in control. He used zip ties. He used a firearm he had taken from the home. Bill and Lorraine Currier were murdered that night. Their remains have never been found. After leaving, Keyes drove to Chicago, disposed of key evidence in Blake Falls Reservoir, a gun and stolen weapon later recovered by the FBI. He flew to San Francisco, flew back to Anchorage. He was home within 2 weeks, resuming his normal life. No witness, no trace, no lead. The Currier case went cold. February 1st, 2012, Anchorage, Alaska. For reasons Keyes never fully explained, he broke his own rule. He hunted at home. It was late evening. 18-year-old Samantha Koenig was working alone at a drive-through coffee kiosk called Common Grounds on Tudor Road. Keyes pulled up, ordered a coffee, and then, on the security camera, you can watch him climb through the window. He zip-tied her. He forced her into his truck. He drove her to his property. Samantha Koenig was murdered in the early hours of February 2nd, inside a shed on his property, not 10 feet from his house. Keyes then left. He had a cruise vacation already booked, and left her body on the property, locked in that shed. When he returned, he needed cash. So he did something that sealed his fate. He staged a ransom. He used Samantha's phone to text her boyfriend, and using a photo, staging her to appear alive, Keyes requested $30,000 from Samantha's family at a ransom location set by Keyes. He accessed her Facebook account. He used her ATM card multiple times across multiple states as he drove south through the country. Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. Every ATM withdrawal was on camera. Every cell ping placed the phone. Every transaction left a trail that helped law enforcement track his movements. And it was during a routine traffic stop after spotting Keyes in Lufkin, Texas, on March 13, 2012, that Anchorage detectives coordinating with local law enforcement found him. Israel Keyes was searched along with his car, and law enforcement found Samantha's cell phone, her stolen debit card, thousands of dollars in rolls of cash wrapped in rubber bands, and a gray t-shirt cut up to make a mask. He was arrested, and the real work began. What happened next is documented in hours of recorded FBI interviews that have since been released to the public, and watching them is one of the most unsettling experiences you will have in true crime. Israel Keyes was intelligent, calm. He came to the interviews prepared, not to confess, but to negotiate. He wanted control of how the story was told. He demanded his daughter be protected from media. He tried to set terms. He did confess to Samantha Koenig's murder, to the Curriers, to what he claimed was a total of around 11 murders spanning 2001 to 2012, though investigators have only been able to officially confirm 3. He spoke about killing the way a chess player speaks about a match, methodically, technically, with occasional flashes of something darker underneath. But here's the thing. Here's what makes this case so deeply frustrating. He would not tell them everything. He gave them geography. He gave them methods. He gave them timelines and general descriptions, but he withheld names. He withheld locations of remains. He withheld the identities of additional victims. He parceled out information like currency, spending it carefully, keeping enough in reserve to maintain leverage. The FBI case agent, Jolene Godin, has spoken publicly about the surreal nature of those conversations. Here was a man who wanted to be understood as exceptional, who had studied killers, admired Ted Bundy for his audacity, and built himself into something he believed was superior. And now he was sitting across from investigators, dangling what he knew, watching them react. On December 2nd, 2012, 9 months after his arrest, Israel Keyes was found dead in his Anchorage jail cell. He had taken his own life. What investigators found was unlike anything they had seen. His writings, a combination of pencil and ink on yellow legal paper, were discovered beneath his body, illegible and soaked in blood. They were sent to the FBI laboratory in Virginia for processing. The conclusion? No hidden code, no message, no names of victims, no locations. Nothing that would help close the case. But that wasn't all they found. In March 2021, the FBI publicly disclosed something that had been held back for years: 11 skulls, drawn by Keyes using his own blood on scraps of paper found in his cell. 11. One, investigators believe, for each life he claimed to have taken. He left no confession to his remaining victims, no map, no names, no closure. As of today, the FBI has officially confirmed 3 of Keyes' victims: Samantha Koenig, Bill Currier, and Lorraine Currier. A 4th, Deborah Feldman, a 49-year-old woman from Hackensack, New Jersey, who disappeared in April 2009, has been identified as a likely victim. Keyes is suspected of up to 11 murders or more, but only 3 have been officially confirmed. That means the majority remain unaccounted for. The FBI's Israel Keyes investigation page remains active. They have released an interactive map of his known movements, covering nearly every state in the continental U.S., plus Hawaii, Canada, and Mexico. They have released videos, timelines, photographs, the skull drawings. They are asking for help. Somewhere, there are families who reported someone missing and never got an answer. Somewhere, there are cold cases that intersect with one of those 35 documented trips. Somewhere, in a field or a reservoir, or a forgotten stretch of woods, there are people who deserve to come home. And the man who knew where they were decided the world didn't deserve to know. The FBI case agent Jolene Godin said something that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. She said this case is about the victims, about their lives, the lives they never got to live, and the families who no longer have them. It is not about him. And that's right. It is not about him. So if you want to help, and I genuinely mean this, the FBI still has an active tip line. You can submit information at FBI.gov or call 1-800-CALL-FBI. If you recognize anything in the timeline, if you remember a neighbor, a coworker, a friend who disappeared in an area Keyes traveled through, your tip could matter. These cases don't close on their own. They close because people pay attention. Thank you for watching. If this is your first time here, welcome to Shadow Files. Subscribe to see more, and take care of yourselves.